Hey guys, I'm Shaft of the Cunning Casting crew. Welcome to Base Wars Qualifier number 6. We are in the semifinals now. This is a best of 3. We have vetoed 4 maps. There are 3 left in our 7-map ladder pool. And here in the top right-hand side, insulting Maker Gaker, it's the Red Zerg McFerguson from Chaos Latin Gamers, JimRising! And here on the top left-hand side of that very same map, in this Zerg versus Zerg Habitation Station, the best thing I can say about this map is it is unique. We'll see how these players take advantage of its interestingly placed features. It's our blue Zerg McPherson from the Tsunami League team, Dakkon! Now, Dakkon did elect to go hatch first. That could mean he is going for an economic play, but most likely it means he wants double queen production or some kind of ling all in. We'll see what he elects to do. JimRising, of course, a very aggressive player who has opened pool first into a hatchery. We'll see what he chooses to do as well. He has delayed his gas, Dakkon's gas, just now finishing where JimRising has not even started one. I almost suspect JimRising will go for a heavy queen play, maybe with a couple of spine crawlers as defense, and wait until about 5.5 minutes to take 2 gas. This is something I've seen Jim do a little bit, but he is very versatile in this matchup, so we'll see what he elects to do. Neither player seems to be inclined to the gold base just yet, so we'll see if either of these guys go for a super greedy play. Some of the time you will see players go straight for it, skipping their natural, but this does not seem like one of these games. So yeah, just a little bit of a setup period. I'm really watching Dakkon. He is making a lot of lings all at once. Will he continue to make lings? Becomes really the big question. If he continues to make them, it will be the ling all in. Otherwise, he could follow up with drones right behind this. He is going to be able to intercept some of these lings. The lings will get a nice scout off. Dakkon queuing up 4 drones, but it may just be to psych out JimRising. He could still produce a couple of waves of lings, and that's really all she wrote. Thing is, he has to attack with the lings before a Baneling's nest could finish, but JimRising not having that early gas, that will offset him just a little bit. And here on the income tab, we do see that JimRising is now mining gas, where his opponent has pulled off. So Dakkon going to be droning up behind this. He has a 2-drone lead. Players are even supply on lings, but these queens going to make all the difference in these engagements. Drones continuing to be produced here by Dakkon, so he is not going for a ling all in. He is going to be content to just hang back and actually going to take a 3rd base. That's a pretty aggressive move. Maybe he's concerned about the 5th and 6th gas. He may elect to do some form of Mutilisking style, but JimRising going for the roaches. Dakkon is going to get the scout on that as well. So this, not really bad for Jim, but it is going to make it hard for him to surprise his opponent. But with good upgrades and good macro, a surprise will not be necessary as his skill alone. I am switching over from headphones to earbuds, guys, as this thing is killing my ears. Ouch. There we go. And yeah, just basic setup for the Zerg versus Zerg. We're gonna find out what these guys are planning to do. I really think Dakkon may elect to go for a Spire-based play, but he is getting the Roach Warren. He's getting some upgrades, but Spire can be followed by Roaches. We'll have to see. Will it be Roach versus Roach battles? Always an interesting style, but on this particular map, these narrow corridors, it's going to make Roach concaves very difficult, so Infestors and or Hydras should be become key. Now, Dakkon does have his 3rd base established now, where JimRising is stuck on 2 bases, so Jim, with a much higher army count, is going to have to somehow economically get back into this, perhaps taking out the 3rd base or going for that natural. He's sending a group of 6 roaches in a nice formation across the map. But Dakkon's got a lot of lings and more lings in production. Jim producing a lot of lings himself to buffer for his own roaches. A lot of overlords are here. They are going to intercept. And the Queen's trying to take out an overlord. Hopefully going to supply block his opponent. The lings do get us around here on his roaches. He was really hoping to get his lings in place, so the roaches did not get surrounded. A lot of those roaches are very critical on health, but they do survive. All of them. The lings taking a lot of shots from the roaches, and it looks like Jim is going to push Dakkon back. He's got too many units. He's got a 19, 28, 20, 30 supply advantage, and there's the GG. Dakkon getting knocked out, steamrolled by JimRising's Roach Ling. Dakkon tried to put on a little bit of pressure. JimRising was able to deflect that and come right back and win it with one great big attack in under 10 minutes. JimRising taking a lead 1-0. Wow, that was convincing, Drew. What do you think, dude? Do you feel like Dakkon could have done something differently to be ready for that? Or was Jim just too good?
I think Dakkon, had Jim on the 2 base. Jim certainly had the army advantage because he didn't go for the 3 base a bit. Had those 3 queens at the very start as well to keep his larva up really high and get that going. But I think Dakkon, maybe he got a little too confident or comfortable in holding him on 2 base because, sure, Dakkon was making his own units and everything. But I'm actually kind of confused myself. I think it came down to that Ling, the Dakkon's blue Lings taking on those red roaches. Only 1 out of the 6 went down, so he had almost all of his DPS still intact, even though, like you said, they were low HP. Jim's Lings reinforcing, I think, just called it right there. That immense amount of larva with those queens on the ready did it for him.
Exactly. So did we show the scoreboard?
No, not yet. I'll bring it up now.
Awesome. We got to give credit where credit is due, and don't forget the score deck.
There we go. So we have Dakkon versus JimRising, Habitation Station, and I'm going to put down a marker here for Jim. Here it is. Congratulations, Jim. Woo!
Jim's one of my favorite players, dude. He is always just so interesting. He does things so differently and so well. I know you, as an individual, you love things that are organic, that are individual, that really define a person, like not cookie cutter builds. Is that right?
That's pretty true, yes.
JimRising is the embodiment of that, my friend.
Indeed. Just making sure I stay focused here. I'm not too colorful with the speech at the moment.
Oh, it's no problem. We're just getting into the lobby. You are here, so...
Gotta change the map. So, I'll do that stuff while you do some talking, or not talk and look weird and creepy.
Weird and creepy, wow. But Muncher. Oh, dude, I feel like Jim's going to lose this one. I actually want Jim to lose this one because I wanted to go to game number 3, and then I want Jim to win.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm greedy. I want a bunch of Jim games, and I'm fine, like, with this blue Zerg. He seemed like a good player. Like, he didn't seem bad, but this is Jim, okay? This is Jim.
It is.
Jim is my hero. Like, if I could be like Jim, I would totally wear his jersey. Only he doesn't wear jerseys. In fact, he doesn't wear clothes when he plays at all. He plays completely naked. He even has the sweat stain in his chair to prove it.
Oh dear.
So guys, please let us know what you think of this event so far, what you think of the games, the casting, the observing quality, the production quality. Let us know your feedback, because we definitely want to improve, give you guys what you want, what you ask for. We know there's been a little bit of downtime so far, but sometimes matches last a little longer, so you have to wait for people to get out of games. It's just the way the game is played, unfortunately, but that's okay. We're going into another Zerg vs Protoss. Hopefully it will be Zerg vs Protoss. Wow, JimRising's got the wrong race. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna blame that one on Gay Jim.
We're almost
Oh,
ready.
wow. The game is starting and Jim has not changed his race.
Oh, it was canceled in time.
Oh, yeah, Maker actually saving the day there.
A little bit of pre-caster action.
Yeah.
Pre-match caster action.
I'm not even going to point out to Jim that he's on the wrong race. I just want to see if it goes. I'm a
He's- Oh no, Jim!
Jim!
Jim! Oh no! Stop.
Jim, get your penis out of the pie.
Maybe he really wants to play Protoss. Oh dear.
Oh,
That would be
God.
something
This
Sure,
is
I'm
going
ready
to be
for
fun.
this. Okay, this is set. Everything is set here.
I'm
As
pretty
we get
sure
ready
this
to
is
go
gonna be
into
okay.
Jim Toss. I'm
Jim
getting
Gay
this-
Toss. Jim Gay Toss.
Okay. Let's keep things straight here. Here comes the map introductions, you guys.
No. Okay, guys, so it was not an accident. He is intentionally playing Protoss. This is a Zerg vs. Protoss here on Daedalus Point. Here in the top left-hand corner, we have representing Tsunami League team, our Red Zergy McFerguson. Down one game, can he come back? It's Dakkon. And here on the bottom right-hand side, off racing as Protoss, it's none other than Chaos Latin Gamers, Gaker JimRising. Alright, so I really have no follow-up to all that enthusiasm. I'm just really excited about this game. So let's see what ends up happening. We actually have an early gas here by Dakkon. That was like a 12 or 13 gas. Is this real life? Okay, so Jim is scouting around with this probe. He is going to be super safe. Jim looks like he's setting up for a Forge first or Nexus first. It is too late to be a cannon rush build. However, he wouldn't want to cannon rush his opponent open gas into a later spawning pool. There is no hatchery to be thought of. I guess Dakkon's thought process in this is that his opponent is off racing. Therefore, the chances of him cheesing exponentially increase. JimRising is going to be less familiar with the late game of this matchup as far as playing it. Of course, he's going to understand it from the Zerg perspective and can possibly take key metagame decisions. So what we're going to expect from Jim is pretty much more of the same. Excellent decision making, a little unorthodox play, and just an unbelievable understanding of the matchup. But this time it's going to be from the opposite side of the spectrum. And we'll see how it works out for him. He does have a Forge finishing up now. The Nexus getting started here. He is blocking the expansion of Dakkon. So he's a little bit wondering, you know, why is his opponent so far behind in taking this expansion? Why the beginning aggression? And how, or why the beginning safe build? He's not actually aggressing behind it, but it potentially would have been aggressive. There's a lot of whys going through Jim's head right now. And we're going to have to just wait and see, along with him, exactly what the answers are. That's a mouthful, guys. Seriously. Alright. So, we've got link speed coming up. There are still gas being mined here. Typically, you would expect to see the gas stop being mined once link speed completes. I almost wonder if Dakkon may be considering some kind of Ling Bling attack, or, you know, again, if this is just his idea of defense, preemptive defense. Well, the Roach Horn is getting dropped, and we have a natural just about to complete probe poking in here. He will be killed off. It looks like Queen should be able to cut him off at the... Oh, never mind. The drone gets to kill. That was a A little anticlimactic, but that's okay. Roach Warren completing now. Dakkon again with a super safe build. He may be trying to take a leaf out of Jim's book and going with a Roach Ling attack. Unfortunately, that's not Jim's playbook in Zerg vs Protoss. In fact, Jim likes to skip the Hydras, skip the Ling speed, and go straight for the Hydras. I think I said skip the Hydras. I mean skip the Roaches and go for the Hydras. Guys, there's a Stargate being built by JimRising. He says, you're Protoss. If I am Protoss, I will win. Protoss, OP. Stargate, OP. GG. That's what Jim thinks, guys. Just in case you were wondering. Looks like he may lose his pylon, though. The probe trying to defend it. Zealot popping out as well. He may get it. Oh, that Ling falls just before it can. Great defense there by Jim. Cannon being produced is like must defend pylon at all costs. Layer finishing up now. I would not be surprised to see a Nydus network, actually. Looks like Dakkon. There it is. Called it. Yeah, Dakkon's just been setting up very low econ. It has to be a Nydus. If this probe can get in, oh, sweet baby Jesus. Yes, the probe died. It is now in heaven, except that it's a machine and has no soul. Bye-bye, probe. Okay, Nydus Network finishing up. He's going to throw some queens in there, throw roaches in there. This is straight out of Clarity Gaming Bob's playbook. Love it. We're going to see the Nydus Network probably in the top portion of the main and or the left-hand side of the natural. We'll see which one he goes in first. It looks like it's going to be in the top part of the main, and it is in production now. That Nydus Network halfway done. It is in production. Not quite in the main, though. It is going to pop out here. He has a very quick reinforcement point, but perhaps he's going to elevator up into the main. He can defend it from the low ground. This is straight out of a tear and drop playbook. You leapfrog your units from one to the other, and then boom, there you go. Great reinforcement there. He has the queens there to both push back the mothership core and push off the void ray, but that photon cannon doing a great job. It did knock out the Nydus Network, and that is the only retreat path for Dakkon. He did bring a queen with this as well, and the Nydus Network is going to be reproduced, but queen has no more transfuses. One does, but it's not taking damage. He could have transfused a roach before it went down, but instead electing to do some extra damage to these void rays. And we have now a reinforcement path here for Dakkon, who is pumping Lings in, but forgetting to use these ground units. These ground units could have been taking out the Nexus or something while the void ray was engaged against that queen. Now the void ray is going to be able to target the roach Ling army. Ling's being pulled off to take out some of these probes. It looks like this Nexus shall fall. There's some reinforcements here at the natural, but mostly probes, and they are falling as well. Jim's still 4 probes ahead of Dakkon, but Dakkon has managed to take out that entire natural, and there is no counter aggression coming out of JimRising. I think Jim might have been overestimating his Protoss skills. Spore Crawler now getting planted in JimRising's base. Dakkon punishing Jim just a little bit here. Wow. These games, my friend, these games. So, I really don't know what Jim's next step could be. Like, he's going to have a hard time really defending his natural, and he's not going to be able to take his main, not for quite some time. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so Dakkon just continuing to make queens. He's got his Roach Ling composition. He's trying to take these cannons out as they are being produced, and there is just the one. Roach is doing a great job here against the Zealots. Zealot's going to be forced to kite backwards, but it's just not enough. Jim did not scout the Nydus Network. He did not have pylons to scout the fringes of his bases, and completely punished for it. Nydus Network now coming in behind the natural mineral line, and Dakkon continuing to aggress here. There we go. Well, I think I've recapped this game enough. Basically, epic game, but Jim was not playing his best. Hopefully we'll see him go back to ZvZ. Now, Drew,
Yes.
what happens if Jim drops this next ZvZ?
It'll be his own fault, I think. You know, for sure, you know, try something new, try something crazy if you're up a game. But he only had the 1 game lead. It's only best of 3. I think that wasn't a safe thing to do. He just wanted to, I guess, YOLO swag it or whatever the terminology is these days. And it was interesting. It almost went fantastic for him, actually. Possible cannon rush was happening. He didn't stop the natural expansion, but still, you know, Forge Fast expand. He was going to get his 2-base economy quick and be able to keep up with the Zerg. If the Zerg didn't take a 3rd base, he'd be doing pretty sweet. But the choice of the Nydus, while Jim did do a great job scouting and tried to, that second probe coming in, only going into the natural, didn't see the Nydus network in the main. I think that was the crux.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And Jim has already race selected. It is a Zerg vs. Zerg. Oh my god, dude. These games would give you a heart attack. If I were 10 years older, I'd be dead right now.
So we'll check the, oops. I have to adjust the thing. Nope, I can fix it. You just hold on a sec. You just hold on 1 second.
I think FearDragon might be online to help.
Yeah.
It's a co-cast.
Sounds good.
It does.
I've got to do the, the pictures. The pictures, that's right. There it is. Aha, it's okay. Now, the point. little bit of a hokey thing there, but...
You said hokey in a sentence.
Dakkon takes game 2 on Deadless Point. I made it work. Our cameras are all screwed up here. I'm sorry, I didn't realize this last time. I need to fix that. I apologize. That is my fault.
Okay.
That is my... Meemaw, as they say in Hispanic.
Yes. Yes.
I can't believe I didn't notice that the last time we showed the scoreboard.
Yeah. Me either.
Did I... How did I... Okay. Do we need a minute?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get, FearDragon.
And I also need to second and restart SC2.
Okay. Why don't we go to Woo Woo right back while we get all
will.
this? Hey guys, I'm Shaft of the Planet Casting crew. Welcome to Base Wars, Qualifier number 6. My co-caster this evening is none other than Ravi, FearDragon. Ravi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite wonderful today, Shaft. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. I hear you are perhaps pushing off a couple of projects to be here tonight. We appreciate it.
Possibly. I was pretty sure before I came on that I was going to be up until like 2 in the morning editing videos. Now I think it's going to be like 4 or 5 in the morning, but it's totally worth it because I get to cast more StarCraft.
Exactly. Procrastination is a man's best friend, my friend. Either way, here on Frost Ladder Edition, top right-hand corner is none other than the BM Butthole Mexican player named... His clan is Gaker to make fun of his teammate Maker, calling him out. Maker, of course, with the gay gem clan tag. So both these guys going back and forth, and then going even further and off racing against his opponent is this guy, the red Zergy McFerguson, top right-hand corner cross positions, none other than JimRising.
And his opponent down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the teal Zerg player. His name is Dakkon.
So both players opening pool first. Looks like Dakkon learned a little bit. He opened hatch first the first game, tried to aggress behind it. Didn't quite work out. Jim was able to punish it. So this time he's going for a little bit of a safer build, able to still get the queens up, but it's going to transition better to getting more drones quicker and a much healthier economy. So both players are in cross spawn position, so it should be a little bit before we see any kind of aggression. You don't usually see lane baneling wars on a map this size in these positions. So Ravi, do you think we're going to see Nydus? Is it going to be roaches versus roaches? Where's this game going to go?
Well, you know, Shaft, I think that's a really, really great topic to bring up right now because it depends on the spawn positions, and we can see for the exact same reason why we won't really see a lot of Zergling baneling wars super duper early on, at least in a large amounts usually, is because in these kind of cross spawn positions, you're so far away from your opponent that it's really, really hard to reliably get your Zerglings out to your opponent's side of the map before they have just more units because they just had more time to prepare.
That defender's advantage.
Yeah. Exactly, it's the defender's advantage. Now, we do have a couple of Zerglings coming out for JimRising. This is actually going to be maybe a little bit annoying for Dakkon to deal with, but with the Zerglings and the Queen, he should be okay. Ooh, has to be careful not to get surrounded there.
Yeah, and mostly for Jim, that was just a good scout. He was able to poke up a little bit, see if both gases were taken. One gas was taken. I'm not sure if he was able to see... No, he didn't quite get the bottom gas scouted, but again, he can infer.
Yeah, you do have to be a little bit careful because I know that a lot of Zerg players have been opening up gasless lately, but I think that just maybe some small little factors like the timing of the queen, how much larva there was, etc., should maybe be a little bit of an indicator to see how much, like, how likely it is that his opponent is also going for that Zergling speed. And, you know, if all of that was just a little bit too subtle, then Zergling speed is finished up. That's a pretty good indicator that Zergling speed has been researched.
Indeed.
Oh!
Well, Lings are going to get in here poking a little bit at the drones. One drone does fall, but he's able to pull the rest of the drones. These Lings, of course, going to get into the main, see that there is no layer, no further gas. Nice surround here by the drones. He will lose a couple of these drones if he does not micro perfectly. One drone does fall, but no, he doesn't lose the second one. Great job there. And there's still an engagement here at the natural as well. This 3-queen wall did a great job. One queen surviving with 15 HP, but one moment of a gap there was all it took. Fear.
Yep, Shaft. I have to say that JimRising is doing a fantastic job holding this off right now. I mean, Dakkon is so heavily committed into this aggression. You can see just based on his drone count, it's 25 to 16 drones. That's absolutely huge for a mirror matchup, and he's still trying to be aggressive with some of these Zerglings. He's trying to drone up behind us now, but I mean, JimRising already has a distinct advantage over his opponent. These Zerglings are not going to be able to really do a whole lot of damage here, as they just end up honestly losing their lives. He's going to have a little bit of map control now. But where exactly does he go from here? JimRising basically gets a free ticket to do whatever he wants for the next couple of minutes.
Well, I feel like Dakkon's best response would be to just take a third. Jim has done a complete wall-off at this natural, and short of knocking down the evolution chamber himself and or going for a spire, he can't punish Dakkon for that.
That is true.
So,
Yeah.
a Nydus network would also be a possibility, but Jim doesn't have the gas and doesn't have a layer, so that's still a long ways off. It would be a great decision for Dakkon.
Let's not get crazy here, Chef. That would be our dream that he goes for the Nydus network.
He did it in game. We just saw a game
Really?
with
Oh,
the Nydus.
man.
Yeah, the game where Jim went Protoss, Dakkon, Nydus network with an elevator up. Well, I believe it was Habitation Station. No, it was Daedalus Point. Yeah.
Oh, got it. And by the way, apologies, guys. I actually just hopped onto the cast like mid-series, so I'm actually not entirely familiar with what happened earlier on in the series. But you know, we do know what's going on right now, and right now we actually have Roach Warren going down right now for JimRising. Where do you think this is going to be going, Shaft?
Well, Jim's got 1-1 upgrades as well, so he's definitely going to be committing to the Roaches. I'm questioning whether he's going Hydras or Swarm Hosts, or both. He has played Swarm Hosts more often than not in these games, and he's shown a real proclivity in using them, real unique play with them, and just constant aggression. He rallies them from the same point in different directions and just gets a good spread on his opponent. So we'll see if Dakkon has found an answer for this, or if Jim chooses to employ it. Of course, 1-1 upgrades definitely going to favor those Locusts.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you have to remember that if JimRising just takes a push out with a ton of Roaches right now, he's going to have the 1-1 upgrades. Dakkon, he has his Roach Warren going up, but I'm wondering if he's going to be able to outproduce JimRising, because I mean, he invested a lot into that third expansion. He invested a lot into that early Zergling attack, so his economy wasn't sitting as well. He's not going to have like the same level of upgrades, but he does at least see this push moving out. So you know what? I think that Dakkon actually has a lot of time to respond right now. Again, Frost is a huge map that gives him ample time to make the units he needs.
I'm wondering if this is a push out or if Jim is preparing to take a third. As Glial Reconstitution has just begun, he wouldn't want to attack before that finishes, not on this long crossbond map, as you pointed out.
That's actually a really good point, and I think that, yeah, JimRising is going to want to take that third expansion, so we do see this drone go ahead and take that. But I would really honestly just like to see JimRising move out across the map. He doesn't actually know this right now, I don't think, but his opponent actually only just recently started his lair attack. He's actually pretty far behind it. Oh,
look!
Oh my God, Shaft!
Your dream
you
comes
called
true. Well, Jim is the type of vindictive player who, when his opponent does something to him, he has to do it back and more extravagantly. So we're going to see exactly what shenanigans he comes up with. He's got 2-2 on the way, Glial Reconstitution just now finishing. He'll probably saturate this third just a little bit, and then move right in for a timing attack.
And you know, what's really great about this decision to go for the Nydus work on this map, Shaft, is the fact that, again, Frost is a huge map. We've been saying this so much, but we cannot emphasize it enough. And when you have the Nydus Worm, you get your units to your opponent's base instantly. You just rally your units into the Nydus Worm, and boom, Defender's advantage doesn't really mean quite as much as it used to.
No, it does not, because except for the fact of having to micro the Nydus network and move your units out, you have the same advantage.
Exactly. Now, Dakkon, I mean, he still has a good number of Roaches, but it does look like JimRising, I mean, he just has like a small little edge on the Roach count, but his Nydus network is not quite up just yet, so he's not going to really be able to negate that Defender's advantage for a little bit. I'm really wondering if he's going to try and push in. I think he's just looking to poke and see what he can do. He's not looking to overcommit.
Yeah, he does, however, have an armor upgrade that his opponent is lacking, so that could come into play. But again, Jim is a smart player and is just choosing not to commit until his 2-2 is there.
Yeah, and that's a really, really smart decision. I mean, he can see with the Overseer right now that those Roaches are only sitting on +1 missile attack, so he knows guaranteed that once his 2-2 finishes, he's going to have an upgrade advantage. Even if his opponent is researching 2 upgrades at a time right now, which actually he's not, he knows that he would still at least have a little bit of an upgrade advantage. So it's in his best interest to wait a little bit, and it looks like we might actually see the exact opposite of what we were expecting, where Dakkon is going to be the one that moves across the map, and that looks like we might see the engagement on JimRising's side of the map.
I don't know. This Dakkon's also played with some good decisions here. I don't want to see him commit, but he is still sending Roaches. He will not have a good concave. JimRising has already pre-split his units somewhat, and will be able to rally his units from a third angle. So this is definitely going to favor Jim if Dakkon chooses, but he's sending a changeling in, so he sees the pre-split, and it looks like he's backing his units up.
Oh, good for him, as JimRising was actually about to pounce. Oh no, he's actually going to be moving in. 2-2 is now just finished up, and JimRising is smelling the blood of Dakkon. He's going after those Roaches and gets quite a few kills. He actually gets a pretty good lead in the roach count. Now he's up a good 15 or so roaches and gonna continue to push across the map. Oh my god, Shaft. Did Dakkon just make a mistake?
To 46 roaches, and don't forget the +2 armor upgrade.
Oh, JimRising splitting up his roaches. He has to be careful. Oh my god, he's going to go into the natural expansion with a ton of his roaches. Dakkon does have some roaches already prepared though, and it looks like actually JimRising going to be losing a lot of these.
Yeah, but he's got so much more that he can afford to lose, and he's attacking from a couple of different angles. In fact, you can see that Jim has a better concave here at this third base. There are a lot of roaches for Jim falling, but Dakkon is losing a lot of roaches as well, and Jim's got reinforcements coming. Jim has actually cleared out the entire mineral line here in the main, and my god, it looks like Jim has done it. He is continuing to rally his units, but the roaches are melting here for our Tsunami League Dakkon.
Oh man, this damage is absolutely insane right now, Shaft. He split up his roaches in the main base, which just made it way too difficult for Dakkon actually to handle. And I mean, how exactly does Dakkon recover from this? He's down to 26 drones. Roaches dancing from JimRising. He feels confident. He has this game in the bag. But Dakkon's not tapping out just yet. We'll have to see. Maybe by some miracle, if Dakkon can just get, I don't know, amazing trades. Maybe if he goes for some kind of big counterattack, he can get lucky by sniping off an expansion. What would he have to do to come back in this game?
I honestly don't know, but I have to ask, did Jim even use his Nydus network?
I don't think he did. I don't think he needed to with how many roaches he got it. And it really came back to that initial engagement that happened over on JimRising's side of the map where he picked off a good 5 to 10 roaches and got that big roach lead.
Well, Dakkon is going to commit to this attack. He has got a good concave here, but Jim just has more roaches, and the Spine Crawler going to plant with Queen support. There's the GG. It all came down to that split. JimRising knew that roaches clump. When roaches clump, like, they're attacking in like waves. Remember like the Revolutionary War, you had like musketmen who would clump, back up, reload, and the next wave would hit? Well, that's kind of what roaches do, only they don't back up and reload. They just kind of die and the next wave comes forward. Well, when you split your roaches, that effect is somewhat mitigated and you're attacking multiple locations at once. So unless your opponent is able to split his units in the exact right ratio, you are going to come out ahead in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. I like the actual metaphor or the analogy over to the Revolutionary War where you have like those British soldiers who are basically lining up. And exactly, it's as you were saying, you just imagine them kind of firing, but instead of moving to the back, they just keep walking forward and then they just like get shot to pieces by the American soldiers. And then they end up falling down, and then finally the person behind them is like, okay, now I have a clear target.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point. And you know, a lot of actual things go into those roach versus roach engagements. It's people. I know that some people like to say like, oh, ZvZ, it's so boring. But ZvZ is actually really interesting because yeah, a lot of the units that end up being made in ZvZ is just the pure roach compositions. But there's so many things that go into those engagements. There's the concave. There's actually the fact that you can, to try and get all of your roaches attacking, you can inch forward, just nuzzle up right next to your opponent's roaches, and you'll take a bunch of free shots, so you can actually lose a lot of your roaches doing that, but you actually still get into a really nice position if you have more roaches. And then upgrades, like the different upgrades play completely different advantages in different ways. There's roach counterattacks that go on, there's burrow play, like there's so many really interesting things about roach versus roach. And I think that we got to see some of those things really play a part in that last game. It was really fun to see.
That's perfect, man. Now, I am noticing here on the score screen something we didn't perhaps notice in game, but Dakkon had almost twice the amount of time supply capped as JimRising. It's 3 minutes and 20 seconds to 1:39 from JimRising. So that could have also played into JimRising's advantage because he had so many more roaches. Roaches, of course, are huge supply intensive, and that could have really helped Dakkon in a lot of ways.
I completely agree. I mean, being supply blocked is actually one of the most frustrating things in the world. I mean, you know that like players between Bronze League and Diamond League or even Masters League, like us newbie players who aren't pro players, we get supply blocked and we're like, oh man, we lose games because of when these players get supply blocked, it can be even worse. I mean, being just behind a good like 5 to 10 supply, or sorry, 5 to 10 units, those 5 to 10 roaches that you wanted a little bit earlier, I mean, you don't have them for that engagement. That makes a huge difference. 5 to 10 roaches, that's like a fifth or an eighth of your army. That is a substantial portion. So those kind of things can really change the tide of the battle. And that could also explain maybe some of the ways that we ended up seeing JimRising get a little bit ahead. But you know, JimRising currently up 2-1, I believe, correct?
And it is a best of 3, so he has won the semifinals.
Awesome. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, we'll be moving into the finals here shortly. I believe they're doing the vetoes now.
Oh, gotcha. All right.